Welcome to Shelf 12 and welcome to Silvernest Homeschool. I'm Elizabeth, mom of 4, homeschooling for 12 years now, and this is what is left on our shelf after 12 years. We are not quite done. We have 2 more kids to graduate and one that is in high school but is doing all of her classes in college at the same time. And so this is what ended up on shelf number 12. We're going to start with my son's college textbooks that he doesn't need anymore currently in the Norton Anthology World Literature. This was when he was taking his community college and high school classes at the same time. And then he is over in a Bible college currently. And so these are the books that they had him purchase for last semester. Survey of the Old Testament. He's not studying, he's just studying it for character development. So The Tabernacle of David by Kevin J. Connor. Unlocking the Scriptures, 3 Steps to Personal Bible Study. Practicing the Way. Be with Jesus, become like him, do as he did. John Mark Comer. And Training for Reigning by Rick Godwin. So I have not read any of those, but the one that he liked the most was called The Fourth Dimension, and so my daughter is reading that one somewhere else. Eventually these will end up, I do have a shelf that is all devotionals and stories. After he finishes his school year, he'll decide which ones he wants to keep and which ones he'll let go, and then we'll either put them in his room or add them to our shelf of one of the things I do is if it's on this certain shelf, I will actually buy them ice cream or pay them to read the books because I find it really important for them to add to their spiritual growth and not necessarily schedule it for school. I want it to be a sweet taste in their mouth, and so that's kind of how we do that. All right, so we have mostly classic novels on the rest of this. So this one is The Banner in the Sky, which is the original book written for Third Man on the Mountain, an old Disney movie, and I have not read it yet. I can't remember if I got one of my kids to read it. Might pull it down to add it to our world history, but they did get a lot of world history books already, so maybe that's why it's back up here, since they said no thanks. But it is a winner in the game of life, at least, and so but I am looking forward to reading this one. My favorite series from when I was a kid is the Emily series, Emily's Quest, Emily Climbs, and the first book, Emily of New Moon, so I have those backwards. I actually have the old version of Anne from my great-grandmother, all 8 books. They were divided between my sister and I downstairs in my personal shelf, but I did pick up these paperbacks when I was a kid and read them, and I liked them so much that I wanted my kids to have their own copies, so in case they beat up my copies. And so these are the second copies, reader copies for my kids. I also have all of these myself. The Akin to Anne series, there's all the short stories that she wrote, and so when I find them I also pick them up and put them up here. So far none of the girls have fallen in love with them the way I did, though one of my daughters has read the Emily series, but that's okay. Lots of books in the world. Other classic books, the Mary Poppins series. She's much more snarky, sarcastic, and hilarious in the book series than in the movie, and I've been trying to add to this collection by P.L. Travers. So Mary Poppins Comes Back, and Mary Poppins in the Park are the 3 I currently have. And I really do personally like to reread these as well. Then we have many copies of The Secret Garden, but this is one of them, so that it's easy. I picked it up, I think, at a thrift books or for free. A thrift store, sorry, or for free for my daughter to read for her botany unit, and she enjoyed it. And then we watched the movie. Compared and contrast the movie. Back to the Moffats. Should be over with my Moffat collection. And then we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Great Grass Elevator. These are also classics. Highly recommend them. Snarky. Again, Roald Dahl is always snarky, but anyway, I would definitely recommend these. Great reader louds. Great to, again, compare and contrast either of the old movie or the newer movie. Back in the mysteries, we got a Trixie Belden and the Mysterious Visitor, which should be probably on one of these shelves as well, probably down here. and 1950s version of Halloween and a mystery, which I'm not a big Halloween person. I'm actually anti-Halloween, but it was fascinating to see how they did celebrate at the time and then also solve a mystery at the same time. Life with Father, Clarence Day, another classic that I haven't got around to reading, but has a really funny movie, so I like the movie. Mandy and the Secret Tunnel. We had the whole series of these at one point that my sister gave us, and none of the kids have really jumped into them as much, but they are mysteries with Christians and the history time period from the clothing, as you can tell. So I keep trying, but apparently they weren't as exciting as some of the other mystery series that we have, like the Sugar Creek Gang. But the Boxcar Children, my kids love the Boxcar Children and they love the comic book, but they do not love any of the sequels. They only want this original book, which makes sense because it's better written. The formula that started happening afterwards really wasn't as good as the first one. But I also love the Boxcar Children. They run away and live in this boxcar. Well, they have to hide. They think they have to hide. And it's these four siblings that pull together to figure out how to keep their family together and then finally get rescued at the end. But they have this adventure of living in this boxcar before that happens. Oh, I like these in Aunt Lucy's Kitchen. These are the easy readers about these cousins that live on Cobble Street, and super sweet series. If you have an early reader girl who just loves all things sweet and fun. Lily, who wants to be a poet. Tessa wants to be a Broadway star. And Rosie wants a little cottage with flowers by the door. This is a great series. And I just kind of grabbed this one copy. There are a lot of them in this series, but I just grabbed one because I wanted to remember it so I can recommend it to people. Island of the Blue Dolphins. This is my copy from when I was in high school, junior high. All of my kids are required to read this book, and I like it more than Hatchet because of the resiliency and also based on a true story. She's very clever and she has to solve really hard things, and find it interesting the way she does survive by herself after her brother dies on the island. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody. Don't tell your kids. If your kids don't like sad stories at the beginning, this one has that really sad beginning. Carry On, Mr. Bodwitch. I have 2 copies of this. I think I'm going to give one away because I don't think I need 2 copies. I don't think I've ever gotten any of my kids to read it. So it must be one of those things where I keep finding free copies of it, knowing it's a good quality book about sailing in this time period. So yeah, let's put that on the giveaway pile. So this isn't supposed to be a decluttering video, but you guys are helping me out. All right, what else we got? Another Roald Dahl. Oh, this is a play of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We do a theater camp every summer, and I grabbed this just in case we decided we wanted to do some scenes from this play. Rudyard Kipling's Captain Courageous. Again, same time period. Rudyard Kipling also wrote the Jungle Book. That's probably the most famous book he's known for. And I think I've had one of my kids read this for world history. I can't remember. But I do have a daughter who is in this time period right now, so I'll see if she's interested. Again, I've already given her a lot of books for world history, but she might. She gets rewards for finishing them, so she reads pretty fast. Keeper of the Bees, Gene Stratton Porter. Okay, up earlier shelf I was talking about The Girl of the Limberlost and about the girl who had to learn how to go to school. This is the same author. This is a classic printing of Keeper of the Bees. He is a man who raises everything from scratch, and then including the bees, and he does everything to make sure his garden is perfect. And one day this soldier who is coming down the road and is trying to live instead of die, he's been told he's good candidate for tuberculosis, even though he doesn't have it. He got shrapnel wound in his chest and he is trying to survive. Escapes his hospital and goes for a walk, and he comes to the beekeeper's house right when the beekeeper has a heart attack and has to go to the hospital, and the beekeeper begs him to stay and take care of his bees. And so it's a very much more middle school, high school story, but I love this story. It's probably one of my top favorite rereads. And then she also wrote Laddie, a True Blue story, which I do not find nearly as interesting, but I do love Gene Stratton. I have all of these in the old copies. They were my great-grandmother's as well as the Anne of Green Gables. And so, bonk, bonk. Sorry, those are probably loud for you. I apologize for my lack of I am just a mom who's trying to make videos. This is definitely not my business, guys. This is just options for stories. This one's boring, about a little girl who loves her big brother. But if you really like James John Porter, then maybe you won't find it as boring as I do. And then The Plain Princess. And my girls drew on her face because they didn't like the fact she didn't have a nose. And that made me so sad. I loved this book when I was a kid. Anyway, it's about a little girl who is very, very spoiled. Very spoiled. And she gets sent to go live with a very plain family and supposed to be a doctor. This woman is supposed to be a doctor, and she brings her home to live with her daughters, and they teach her how to work and how to stop being selfish. And suddenly she turns beautiful because it's from the inside out. But it's not beautiful like her features don't change. It just means that she has a twinkle in her eye and she now knows how to smile, or she's not pouting anymore. And so it's all about that kind of like walk. So The Plain Princess, if you ever find a copy of that one. A good, easy reader. The Best Loved Doll, another great, easy reader, probably difficult to find. Way more expensive than it should be. But again, it's all about a little girl who has a huge doll collection that she really loves. And she's invited to a party and she can only bring one. And she brings her favorite doll that's kind of beat up. And everyone else wins all these prizes. And she knows she has dolls that could have won those prizes. But at the very end, she gets a very special prize for her doll that she was decided she loves the most. And then The Doll's House by Rumor God and illustrated by Tasha Tudor. I love Doll's House was when I was a kid, and so my kids have some doll's houses, and so I just sort of collect books that have to do with doll's houses. So this one is a simpler read. The Plantagenets, it's the story of how the little doll Toddy keeps wishing and wishing and wishing for things to happen. And there is a bad doll and some stuff that changes because of her wishes. And When the Dolls Woke, another 80s story of dolls that come to life and talk to people. So, yep, kind of a theme. Anyway, hope that was interesting for you. 12 shelves done. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Quite a few still to go. We won't be going over those. Those are my scrapbooks. And yeah, but I do hope this is fun for you to be able to while away the winter, put me on the background while you're getting something done, cleaned, maybe be inspired for a new read aloud for your own family or some new book series for your children. I tend to like things that are innocent and sweet or exciting, but not a lot of, no language, no awkward situations, not a lot of romances on these shelves besides, I guess, I mean, Emily does get married, so I guess there is some romance in that series. But yeah, hope that is helpful to you. Hope you're having a great day, and we will talk to you soon.